Hello everyone and welcome to part 2 in my series of a BMC 1.8 litre diesel engine build. What we're going to do today is go over the block that I've recently picked up and I'll just run through some things that I looked for in the block when I went to view it, some considerations and basically my assessment as to whether it was a good enough block to continue with the build. So this block is still painted in its, I'd say, genuine Mohawk BMC green. The overall condition seemed good at first impression, however it had been stood for a long while in the corner of a shed. So I'm just going to go over each side, top and bottom, and just go over what I looked for in the block. Okay, so as I've just mentioned then, first impression of the block, it was fairly clean, fairly free from oil and grime, but it had been stood in a shed for a good few years. The initial assessment was that it was the original Mohawk BMC green paint, but after cleaning some of the grime off, there are signs of some legacy blue paint underneath. I don't know whether that's from manufacturer or whether the block has indeed been painted again in the past, but overall condition seemed fairly good. The head itself then, or the bores and the top of the engine itself, some light markings through surface rust, and obviously most of the studs are missing, but what is there seemed relatively good. The bore's fairly clean, an initial assessment free from scoring, so there's no need to replace the cylinder liners on there. Working our way around then, okay, some signs of old gaskets, but when you view inside, the actual cylinder liners have got quite a bit of surface rust on there, and there's a lot of grot on the outside of the engine itself, so this gasket has obviously failed in the past. Okay, working our way around to the other side. Okay, much more cleaner than the other side. This is obviously the gearbox adapter plate side. All the threads are in perfect condition, so there's no need for retapping or anything like that. And again, the blue paint rearing its head. Still working our way around then. Okay, the fuel lift pump studs are still there. They're still in good condition, so they can be recycled, but lots of components missing, so relief valve and the relief valve cover are missing, and a fair few components, so it is in essence a very bare block. Okay, took a straight edge to it. Okay, went over it in multiple angles, and there's no warpage and there's no fracturing or anything like that. So again, the initial assessment fairly good. Just going to flip the engine over now. Okay, again, some surface rust in there, but not too bad. Stuff that comes off with a wipe of your finger. But everywhere where the bearings are going to be housed, okay, again, unscored, no signs of rolling or anything like that. So again, a fairly decent engine on the inside, again with the camshaft bearings and stuff like that still in very good order and still within spec. Moving our way back onto the top of the engine then. Okay, I've already mentioned that quite a lot of the studs are missing, and I think the main reason that these three are remaining is because they were quite stubborn to get out. We're going to leave those in there now, and we'll concentrate on removing those after the engine's been deep cleaned. But basically what I do now is move on to a complete degrease with a degreasant before moving on to a removal of all the paint, which I'll come on to tomorrow with our first product review, which is going to be the Starchem Synstryp, which you see down there. Okay, once that's been done, then the next step after that is again to do another quick degrease, and then the engine will be going into a electrolysis bath for approximately 48-72 hours, which will remove all the remaining grime and rust from the cylinder liners. And in essence, what we should come up with is a block which looks like it just came off the shop floor. So we're back to the block. It's had a degrease with a product called Aussie Juice, which is a sort of bio-friendly degreasing, and it removed a lot more of the grime. And now we're going to jump onto the removal of the paint using the Starchem Synstryp product that I've been using for years. When I first started using this, I had to sort of register as a professional, otherwise they wouldn't sell it to me. But now you can buy it off of various websites for about 30 quid for 5 litres, and it lasts a fair while. It's not like some of the other paint removers that have had a lot of the good quality chemicals removed because of health and safety issues and stuff like that. This stuff's pretty much stayed the same for as long as I've been using it, 5-8 years, and it does the job really well, which you'll hopefully see in the video. So with this Starchem Synstryp, you really need to follow the guidelines, the instructions that are on the container itself. Now, this stuff is really volatile. Use it in a well ventilated area. Okay, PPE, you need gloves on, you need goggles as a minimum. This stuff, if it gets on your skin, is basically the same effect as Hudson gets when the alien explodes on him in the film Aliens. So I will be wearing PPE for this video, and what I will say is use this stuff sparingly. Okay, really coat it on there, but I've used this stuff with an engine block that had 5 different layers of paint on it, and it chewed through it in less than an hour. So it's 6 degrees here in Dorset at the moment. There's nothing to do with information about working temperatures or anything like that on the container itself. So what I'm going to go on to is just getting the PPE on, lapping this stuff on, and then I'll come back in an hour and just show you the effects that it's having in that duration, and then we'll leave it overnight and then come back in the morning. What I tend to then do is just use a pressure washer, and that removes the remaining paint. What I also tend to do is put a second application on it, but only leave it for about 4 or 6 hours, and that really guarantees that everything's been removed. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put a good working amount in the corner of my tray down the bottom. Okay, just enough to get me working along one side, and then simply grab a paintbrush. Okay, nice cheap one because you're going to throw it away after this. Okay, and then just really lap it on there. Okay, so that you can see the high amount of residue on it. Okay, so I'm just going to go along, okay, all along. It's not hazardous metal whatsoever, okay, because it's designed for automotive use. Okay, so just get it in all the recesses, okay, and really apply it on. Okay, it's semi non-drip, okay, but like I said, avoid getting it anywhere on your hands or especially your eyes, because it will involve a trip to hospital. And even just working here outside, you really get a smell of how volatile this stuff is. But as I'm going along now and just lapping it on, even now, sort of a minute after applying it, and it's still already having a chemical effect and blistering the paint. So I wasn't going to bore you with a time lapse of me applying the Synstryp with a paintbrush, because we've all got better things to do with our days. But it's taken me approximately 5 minutes to coat the complete external parts of the motor, and as I got around to the finishing end, as you can see, the rough finish is already lifting up the layers of paint before I even got around to the other side of the block. To show you how good this stuff is, this was a brand new drip tray, and it's literally lifted the paint off of the drip tray in a matter of seconds as well. So that kind of sells the quality of this stuff. But please remember, just make sure you're wearing the correct PPE. I speak from experience. So folks, we're back to the block. It's quite late in the evening. It's dropped down to about 2 degrees now, and the Starchem Synstryp's been cooking away now for approximately 5 hours. But I just wanted to wrap this video up for today by just showing you how good quality a paint remover it actually is. So I've just got a basic wire wheel. I'm just going to take a section and just show you. It's probably quite hard to see, but you can just literally see the layers of paint all the way down to the cast iron block. So any layers of paint that are on there, just literally coming off with a simple scrape. So paint, get the pressure washer on that tomorrow, pressure wash the whole block, give it one more coat to get off any legacy paint, and then we can get the block degreased once again, and then set up the electrolysis bath for part 3, continuing with the block. Thanks for watching.